Stop everything right now and listen to me. You did not find this message by accident. This did not appear in front of you because the wind moved randomly, or because your hands wandered without purpose. This arrived because you survived something that was supposed to make you believe your story was over. This arrived because the pain that almost shattered you has now become evidence. Evidence that you did not quit. Evidence that you did not collapse in the place where others would have surrendered. Evidence that there is more strength inside you than even you understood while you were walking through the fire. Now hear me clearly. What nearly broke you did not disqualify you. It qualified you. The season that made you question your future was not the end of your calling. It was the proving ground for the next level of authority, the next level of peace, the next level of provision, the next level of responsibility I am placing in your hands. You thought the pressure meant you were being rejected. You thought the delay meant you were being forgotten. You thought the silence meant heaven had turned away. But I was not absent. I was measuring capacity. I was forming endurance. I was revealing what could remain standing after everything unstable had been shaken. This is not ordinary motivation. This is not a comforting phrase thrown over a deep wound. This is recognition. This is confirmation. This is divine explanation for a season you could not understand while you were living inside it. You could not see the full picture because your eyes were wet with tears. You could not understand the process because your heart was trying to survive one day at a time. But I saw every hidden moment. I saw the nights you cried privately and still got up the next morning. I heard the prayers you whispered when you had no strength to pray loudly. I watched you keep going when no one applauded you, no one checked on you, no one understood the weight you were carrying. Do not minimize what it cost you. Do not pretend it was easy just because you survived it. The silence was heavy, the waiting was painful, the betrayal cut deeply, the confusion tried to wear down your faith. But still, something in you kept reaching for me. Still, something in you refused to let bitterness become your identity. Still, something in you knew that this could not be the end. Press the like button right now, not as a routine gesture, but as a declaration that the trial did not defeat you. Subscribe if you know I am rebuilding you for what comes next. And comment these words with faith. The trial qualified me. Let heaven record it. Your pain was not the end of your story. It was the evidence that you were being prepared for something greater. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was punishment. I need you to let those words settle deep in your spirit, because the enemy tried to make you interpret preparation as rejection. The enemy tried to make you look at the pressure and call it abandonment. But heaven was not against you. Heaven was working inside you. Heaven was measuring what could be trusted in your hands when the next door opened. You kept asking, why me? Why did I have to go through this? Why did it last so long? Why did they walk away? Why did the answer seem delayed? Why did I have to keep standing when everything in me wanted to fall apart? But while you were asking why me, heaven was answering, because you can carry what I am preparing, because there is a weight of assignment coming that immature hands cannot hold, because there is a level of blessing coming that wounded identity cannot steward, because there is a door ahead of you that requires more than excitement. It requires capacity. Now hear me clearly. The delay was not denial. The betrayal was not abandonment. The fire was not destruction. The silence was not absence. The pressure was not proof that I had forgotten you. It was proof that I was forming you in places no one could see. I was teaching your patience when the timeline did not move. I was testing your obedience when you did not understand the instruction. I was refining your humility when you had every reason to defend yourself. I was sharpening your discernment when familiar voices no longer carried my peace. You thought the season was exposing your weakness, but it was also revealing your endurance. You thought the pain was showing you everything you lacked, but I was showing you everything I had already placed inside you. You kept moving with a broken heart. You kept praying with tired faith. You kept forgiving when your flesh wanted revenge. You kept choosing integrity when compromise looked easier. You kept showing up when your emotions begged you to disappear. That was not small. That was not ordinary. That was measurement. I was measuring patience. Could you wait without becoming poisoned by delay? I was measuring obedience. Could you follow me when the path did not explain itself? I was measuring humility. Could you be corrected without collapsing into shame? I was measuring discernment. Could you recognize what was draining you, distracting you, and disguising itself as loyalty? I was measuring forgiveness. Could you release what injured you without pretending it never hurt? I was measuring endurance. Could you continue when no one understood the cost? I was measuring faith under pressure. Could you still believe my nature when your circumstances argued against my promise? And here is the truth you must not miss. You were never trying to become worthy of my love. You already had my love. You were never trying to earn my attention. I saw you before anyone else saw you. You were never trying to prove that you deserved to be called mine. You were mine in the valley, mine in the confusion, mine in the waiting, mine in the fire. Worthiness was never the issue. Readiness was. There are blessings that require maturity. There are doors that require discipline. There are assignments that require a heart that can stay pure under pressure. If I had placed certain things in your hands before this season, the weight of them would have crushed what I was trying to build, not because you were rejected, not because you were unloved, not because you were disqualified, but because your capacity was still being formed. So do not curse the season that trained you. Do not despise the process that strengthened you. Do not call it wasted when heaven calls it preparation. Every tear had a witness. Every quiet act of obedience had a record. Every day you survived became part of the evidence. The hardest season was not heaven rejecting you. It was heaven enlarging you. It was heaven forming the capacity needed for the next assignment. And now, what once felt like pressure is becoming proof. What once felt like delay is becoming timing. What once felt like silence is becoming a deeper kind of trust. Now I need you to recognize the 9 pressures, because once you can name what you survived, you will stop calling it confusion, and you will start calling it training. You will stop looking at the past season like it was chaos, and you will begin to see the pattern of my hand. Every pressure touched a different place in you. Every weight revealed a different weakness that I intended to strengthen. Every battle exposed an area where you were being prepared to carry more without collapsing under it. The first pressure was rejection. Doors closed. People did not choose you. Invitations stopped coming. Certain rooms made you feel invisible. And at first, it looked like humiliation. It looked like loss. It looked like you were being pushed away from something you needed. But hear me clearly. I allowed rejection to break the addiction to human approval. I could not build your next season on the unstable foundation of needing people to clap before you obey. I could not send you into greater authority while your identity was still trembling every time someone misunderstood you, ignored you, or refused to validate you. That rejection did not erase you, it anchored you. It taught you that what I call you matters more than what they call you. It taught you that a closed door cannot cancel a chosen life. The second pressure was betrayal. This one cut deeply because it came through someone who had access to your heart. You trusted them. You explained yourself to them. You made room for them. And then the very place where you expected loyalty became the place where pain entered. But I need you to understand what betrayal produced. It did not just wound you. It sharpened you. It taught you discernment. It taught you that not everyone who has proximity has assignment. Not everyone who knows your story deserves access to your future. Not everyone who walks beside you for a season is authorized to travel with you into destiny. You learned boundaries. You learned to stop confusing love with unlimited access. You learned that forgiveness does not mean returning to the same unguarded place. That betrayal trained you to carry more without handing sacred things to careless hands. The third pressure was financial strain. You watched numbers, bills, needs, responsibilities, and unexpected burdens press against your peace. You wondered how provision would come. You wondered why the pressure kept returning. But I was purifying your trust. I was exposing fear around money. I was breaking the lie that your security comes from what is in your account. I was teaching you that money is a tool, not a god. Money is a servant, not a master. Money is not your identity, and lack is not your name. I had to teach you how to trust me when resources felt uncertain, so that when resources increase, they will not own you. I am not raising you to worship provision. I am raising you to steward it. The fourth pressure was delay. You waited longer than you expected. You watched others move forward while your promise seemed still. You asked why the answer had not arrived, why the door had not opened, why the word had not manifested. But delay was not denial. Delay was protection. There were things ahead that were not ready. There were parts of you still being strengthened. There were connections still being arranged. There were dangers you could not see that my timing was holding back. If I had opened the door too early, you would have walked into something with excitement but without stability. Delay trained your patience. Delay purified your motive. Delay taught you to trust my clock when your emotions wanted proof. The fifth pressure was isolation. You had seasons where you felt alone, unseen, and strangely separated. People could not reach the depth of what I was doing in you. Some conversations no longer fit. Some environments no longer carried peace. And while you thought isolation meant abandonment, I was breaking dependency on the crowd. I was teaching you how to hear me without needing constant confirmation from people. I was teaching you how to stand without leaning on applause, attention, or agreement. There are assignments that require a private root system. There are blessings that will attract many voices. And if you cannot hear me in isolation, you will be confused by noise and elevation. The sixth pressure was misunderstanding. You were judged by people who did not know the full story. Your silence was misread. Your boundaries were criticized. Your obedience looked strange to those who were not carrying your instruction. And I watched you resist the urge to explain everything. I watched you struggle with wanting to defend your name, but misunderstanding trained your character. It taught you that you do not have to correct every false narrative. It taught you that peace is sometimes more powerful than explanation. It taught you that I can defend what you surrender to me. Public responsibility requires a heart that does not fall apart every time people misinterpret the assignment. The seventh pressure was warfare in the mind. Thoughts came against you at night. Fear tried to rehearse failure. Anxiety tried to write endings I never authored. Shame tried to bring old names back over your life. But you kept fighting privately. You kept casting down what did not come from me. You kept choosing truth when emotion was loud. That private victory became foundation. Do not call it small because no one saw it. Heaven saw it. Every time you refused to agree with despair, strength was being built. Every time you chose faith over fear, stability was being formed. Your mind was not just attacked because you were weak. It was attacked because your future required clarity. The eighth pressure was forced surrender. You had to release what you wanted to control. You had to place people, plans, timing, outcomes, and unanswered questions in my hands. You wanted certainty, but I asked for trust. You wanted details, but I asked for obedience. You wanted to hold everything together, but I taught you that surrender is not losing. Surrender is alignment. Surrender is where striving breaks and sonship rises. You learned that you can be responsible without being controlling. You learned that you can care deeply without carrying what belongs to me. The ninth pressure was obedience without visible reward. You did the right thing and saw no immediate result. You prayed and nothing seemed to move. You gave, served, forgave, stayed faithful, stayed honest, stayed pure in places where compromise looked profitable, and no one celebrated it. But I recorded it. That unseen obedience became the foundation for public stability. If you can obey when no one is watching, you can be trusted when many are watching. If you can remain faithful without applause, you can steward influence without becoming addicted to attention. So now let heaven record it. Rejection anchored your identity. Betrayal sharpened your discernment. Financial pressure purified your trust. Delay protected your timing. Isolation broke your dependency on the crowd. Misunderstanding strengthened your character. Mental warfare trained your authority. Surrender aligned your heart. Unseen obedience proved your faithfulness. These were not random attacks. These were pressures that proved capacity. Every one of them revealed that you could carry more, not because you never felt pain, but because you kept standing while I was making you stronger. And now understand this. The fire did not only test what you could survive, it revealed who you had become. You are not the same person who entered that trial. You may have the same name in the mouths of people, the same face in the mirror, the same history behind you, but something inside you has been altered by my hand. The pressure did not just move circumstances around you, it reached into your identity. It burned away false labels. It exposed fragile foundations. It separated the voice of fear from the voice of truth. It taught you the difference between needing to be seen and knowing you are already known. You stood in the fire, and the fire did not consume you. It refined you. You were pressed, and the pressure did not destroy you. It compressed you like a diamond. You were squeezed by delay, betrayal, rejection, silence, and uncertainty. But what came out of that compression was not weakness. It was clarity. It was steadiness. It was discernment. It was a spirit that no longer panics the way it used to panic. It was a heart that can feel deeply without surrendering authority to pain. It was a mind that has learned to recognize the difference between an attack and an assignment, between a distraction and a door, between an old wound speaking and my voice leading. Now hear me clearly. The old version of you cannot lead the new season. The version of you that begged for validation cannot steward the influence I am bringing. The version of you that tolerated confusion because you were afraid to lose people cannot protect the peace I am placing in your life. The version of you that feared abandonment so deeply that it accepted crumbs, inconsistency, disrespect, and emotional chaos cannot sit in the seat of authority I have prepared. That version was not evil. That version was wounded. That version was surviving. But you are not being called to survive the next season. You are being called to steward it. Do not mourn the old identity as if losing it means losing yourself. You are not losing yourself. You are finally meeting the self I saw before the fire ever began. You are meeting the one who can stand without begging. You are meeting the one who can love without losing discernment. You are meeting the one who can forgive without reopening every door. You are meeting the one who can wait without collapsing, speak without trembling, rest without guilt, and obey without needing a crowd to understand. What I say about you defines who you are, not what they did, not what they left, not what they called you, not what you survived, not what you used to believe about yourself in the darkest hour. I say you are chosen. I say you are restored. I say you are strengthened. I say you are forgiven. I say you are protected. I say you are ready. Let those words become louder than the names pain tried to put on you. Let my declaration become stronger than the memory of rejection. Let my voice become the foundation your next season stands on. But now, I must warn you with love. Do not return to old thought patterns just because the pressure has lifted. Do not let relief make you careless. Do not go back to shrinking, doubting, over-explaining, chasing, proving, begging, or accepting what I already delivered you from. The trial produced authority, and authority must be protected. Guard your peace. Guard your discernment. Guard your obedience. Guard the new name I have spoken over you. You came out of the fire with a refined name. You came out steadier, cleaner, sharper, wiser, and more anchored than before. The trial did not just change what happened around you. It changed who you know yourself to be, and heaven recognizes the difference. And I need you to understand what heaven saw when people saw nothing. People saw you functioning, but I saw you breaking privately. People saw you answer messages, show up to responsibilities, smile when necessary, and keep moving through ordinary days. But I saw the tears that came when the door closed. I saw the exhaustion you carried in your body. I saw the moments when your hands were tired, your heart was heavy, and your mind whispered, I cannot do this anymore. Do not think those hidden moments disappeared. Do not think the tears fell without witness. Do not think the prayers you could barely speak were too weak to reach me. I heard the prayer that had no polished words. I heard the sigh. I heard the silence. I heard the broken sentence that ended in tears. I heard you when you said, help me, and nothing else could come out. Heaven did not overlook that. Heaven recorded it. Now hear me clearly. Your tears became evidence in the court of heaven. Every time you wanted to quit but chose obedience, evidence was entered. Every time you wanted to become bitter but chose to keep your heart clean, evidence was entered. Every time you had a reason to retaliate but held your tongue, evidence was entered. Every time betrayal gave you permission to become hard and you still chose kindness, evidence was entered. Every time delay tried to convince you that faith was foolish and you still kept believing, evidence was entered. You passed tests you did not even know were tests. You thought you were just trying to survive another day, but heaven was watching your response. You thought you were just holding yourself together, but your restraint was speaking. You thought you were just being quiet because you had no strength to argue, but your silence was becoming testimony. You thought you were forgotten because no one applauded your endurance, but I was marking every moment where your character chose alignment over emotion. When they betrayed you, and you did not let betrayal turn you cruel, that was a test. When the outcome was delayed, and you did not curse the promise, that was a test. When you had the opportunity to expose, accuse, exaggerate, or repay pain with pain, and you chose to let me defend you, that was a test. when you kept praying for people who never apologized, when you kept serving while you were unseen, when you kept giving from a place that still felt empty, when you kept honoring me with a heart that was still healing, heaven recorded it as proof. This is why I am telling you now, do not despise what no one noticed. The private room was not wasted. The lonely night was not wasted. The tear-stained pillow was not wasted. The drive where you cried and wiped your face before walking into the next responsibility was not wasted. The moment you almost sent the message but stopped because my peace restrained you was not wasted. The moment you almost walked away from faith but whispered, "I still trust you," was not wasted. Type these words right now if your spirit bears witness. God saw every tear. Type it as agreement. Type it as a declaration. Type it as your refusal to believe that hidden pain means forgotten pain. God saw every tear. Heaven saw every restraint. Heaven saw every prayer. Heaven saw every choice to keep believing when your circumstances gave you reasons to doubt. And because the private test was completed, public confirmation can now begin. Not because you performed perfectly, not because you never felt fear, not because you never cried, but because you kept choosing me in places where choosing me cost you something. You did not only endure pressure, you endured it without surrendering your soul to it. You did not only survive betrayal, you survived it without letting hatred become your language. You did not only wait through delay, you waited long enough for patience, discernment, and authority to be formed inside you. Now the record speaks. The evidence is clear. What people overlooked, heaven recorded as proof that you can be trusted with more. The season of hidden endurance is turning into a season of visible confirmation. The tears were not the end. The tears were testimony. The exhaustion was not failure. The exhaustion was evidence. The private obedience was not ignored. It was the very thing that qualified you for the next door. Now, understand why this matters. Qualification does not mean the pain was good. I am not calling betrayal good. I am not calling loss good. I am not calling sleepless nights, private tears, financial pressure, rejection, confusion, or delay good. Pain is pain. Wounds are wounds. What happened hurt because it touched something real. But hear me clearly. What the enemy meant to use as destruction, I used as formation. What was painful became material in my hands. I used it to build capacity. I used it to produce wisdom. I used it to deepen compassion. I used it to establish authority in places comfort could never have reached. This is the difference between surviving and being prepared. Survival kept you alive. Preparation made you useful for the next assignment. Survival helped you breathe through the pressure. Preparation taught you what to do with the pressure once you came out. Survival kept you from quitting. Preparation turned your scars into discernment, your tears into tenderness, your waiting into patience, your silence into strength, and your obedience into authority. You did not only come through the trial, you came through carrying something you did not have before. Comfort alone could not have produced this in you. Ease could not have taught you how to stand when emotions rise and fall. Convenience could not have trained your spirit to pray when nothing around you looked like an answer. Applause could not have purified your motives. Popularity could not have taught you discernment. A season without pressure could not have shown you who was sent, who was draining you, who was distracting you, and who only loved access to you, but not the assignment on you. The fire revealed what comfort would have hidden. Now you can comfort others differently because you know what it feels like to need comfort. You can sit with someone in pain without rushing them, judging them, or throwing empty words over a deep wound because you remember the nights when you needed presence more than explanation. You can discern motives differently because betrayal trained your eyes. You can pray with authority because you are not praying from theory anymore. You can lead without arrogance because the trial taught you how dependent you are on me. You can stand when emotions fluctuate because you have already learned that feelings can be loud without being lowered. This is why your voice has changed. This is why your prayers have weight. This is why your compassion is deeper, your boundaries are clearer, and your spirit is steadier. You are not speaking from borrowed language. You are speaking from lived deliverance. You know me as provider because you lived through need. You know me as defender because you survived moments when you could not defend yourself. You know me as healer because you carried wounds that no human hand could fix. You know me as restorer because you watched me gather pieces you thought were permanently scattered. You know me as present help because you met me in the place where people were absent. That is proof, not theory, not performance, not religious language memorized from someone else's testimony. Proof. Your life now carries evidence that I can sustain a person in the fire. Your endurance now carries evidence that grace can hold what human strength cannot hold. Your testimony now carries evidence that I do not waste pain surrendered into my hands. So stop looking for the old kind of credential. This qualification did not come from an institution. It did not come from popularity. It did not come from applause, followers, titles, invitations, or public recognition. It came from endurance under divine supervision. It came from obedience when no one was watching. It came from faith when there was no visible reward. It came from the place where you kept choosing me with tears in your eyes and pressure on your chest. Let heaven record it. You were qualified because capacity was formed. You were qualified because wisdom was born. You were qualified because compassion was deepened. You were qualified because authority was tested and proven. The trial produced what comfort never could. And now, you are not merely someone who survived pain. You are someone prepared to carry purpose. And now that purpose is being placed in your hands. Hear me clearly. The next season requires a different stewardship. The same grace that held you in pressure will now teach you how to govern blessing. The same hand that refined you in the fire will now require maturity when doors begin to open. Because in trials, you survive. In blessing, you steward. In trials, you cry out for strength. In blessing, you must walk with discipline. In trials, you learn to trust me with little. In blessing, you must prove that increase will not make you forget the one who carried you. Do not treat the answered prayer carelessly. Do not sabotage the door because you are still thinking like the person who was trapped in the hallway. Do not spend future provision on old fears. Do not make decisions from panic just because you remember lack. I am bringing you into a place where provision must be managed, not worshipped. Favor must be guarded, not flaunted. Access must be discerned, not handed out to everyone who asks for it. What I am placing in your life is not fragile, but it is sacred, and sacred things require stewardship. Guard your peace fiercely. Your peace is not a luxury, it is a necessity. You cannot carry new responsibility with an unguarded spirit. You cannot discern my voice while entertaining every distraction, every argument, every old emotional cycle, every familiar chaos that tries to pull you backward. Some things will try to re-enter your life when they sense that you are rising. Some people will want access to the fruit of a season they did not honor while you were being planted. And I am telling you with love, not everyone who was present in the old season is assigned to walk with you into the new one. This is not bitterness. This is wisdom. This is not pride. This is stewardship. You can forgive and still have boundaries. You can love and still refuse access. You can bless people and still not let them sit in the inner room of your future. The next door requires a guarded spirit because greater visibility attracts greater voices. Greater blessing attracts greater requests. Greater authority attracts greater testing. So watch your words. Pray before moving. Ask before answering. Pause before committing. Do not let excitement make promises that wisdom has not approved. Now hear me clearly. The enemy often attacks after qualification, not because you failed, but because you passed. He attacks through distraction. He attacks through pride. He attacks through exhaustion. He attacks through emotional relapse. He tries to convince you to become careless after the pressure lifts. He whispers, "You deserve to do whatever you want now." He whispers, "Prove yourself, show them, spend it, say it, chase it, post it, react." But my voice will lead you differently. Stay humble. Stay quiet when I tell you to be quiet. Move when I tell you to move. Rest when I tell you to rest. Do not confuse urgency with obedience. The blessing coming will require prayer, not performance. It will require humility, not image. It will require consistency, not emotional highs. You must not let the increase become an idol. You must not let the open door become your identity. You must not let people's applause replace my approval. I qualified you in secret so you would not be intoxicated by public attention. I trained you in hidden places so you would know how to return to me when the room gets loud. So I am giving you instruction now. Guard your peace, watch your mouth, stay humble, keep praying, protect your boundaries, honor the provision. Do not make permanent decisions from temporary emotion. Do not run back to what I delivered you from. because the new feels unfamiliar. Do not shrink, because blessing feels heavier than survival. You asked for this door, but now you must become the kind of person who can walk through it without losing yourself. Let heaven record it. You are not only being blessed, you are being entrusted. You are not only being promoted, you are being made responsible. The pressure qualified you, but maturity will preserve what is coming. I did not bring you through the trial so you could mishandle the testimony. I brought you through so you could stand in the next season with clean hands, a guarded heart, a steady spirit, and a life that proves you can be trusted with more. And now watch carefully, because signs will confirm that the season has shifted. The next stretch will not look like the last stretch. The next door will not carry the same weight as the hallway you were trapped in. The next assignment will not feel like punishment, because the lesson has been completed. The internal work has produced readiness. The pressure did what it was permitted to do. The fire refined what it was sent to refine. The waiting formed what rushing could never have formed. And now, what I prepared inside you will begin to meet what I am aligning around you. You will start noticing conversations arriving at the exact time your spirit needs confirmation. Someone will say a sentence they do not even realize is an answer to something you prayed in private. A message will come when you were wondering if you heard me correctly. A door that once confused you will suddenly make sense in hindsight. You will look back at what closed, what ended, what did not work, and instead of shame you will feel understanding. You will say, "Now I see why that could not continue. Now I see why that delay protected me. Now I see why that rejection redirected me. Now I see why what I called loss was actually mercy." This is how momentum begins. Not always with noise, not always with public celebration. Sometimes momentum begins with peace, unusual peace. Peace where you used to panic, peace where you used to chase, peace where you used to over-explain, overthink, and try to force a door open with exhausted hands. The sign is not only that doors open. The sign is that you can walk through them without losing your peace. The sign is not only that opportunities appear. The sign is that you now have discernment to know which ones are assigned and which ones are distractions. The sign is not only that people notice you. The sign is that attention no longer controls you. Now hear me clearly. Do not become obsessed with signs. Do not turn confirmation into anxiety. Do not start chasing symbols, testing every moment, or forcing meaning into what I have not spoken. Signs are not for obsession. Signs are for alignment. They confirm what I am already doing. They steady you while you move. They remind you that the trial was not random and the shift is not imagined. They show you that what I formed in secret is now being matched with timing, access, provision, clarity, and direction. What was delayed begins to move. What was blocked begins to open. What felt buried begins to rise with purpose. The dream you thought had died will not return in the same immature form. It will return with wisdom attached to it. The calling you almost stopped believing in will not come back carrying the old desperation. It will come back with peace. The clarity you lost in the crushing will begin to be restored, not as noise, not as pressure, but as a steady knowing in your spirit. You will know where to step. You will know what to release. You will know who cannot come with you. You will know when silence is obedience and when movement is required. And divine redirection will become clearer. Some plans will change, and you will not fall apart. Some invitations will come, and you will not rush to accept them. Some people will return, and you will not forget what the last season taught you. Some doors will open wide, and you will still ask me before walking through them. This is maturity. This is evidence. This is the proof that you are not the same person who entered the trial. The shift is not only around you, the shift is in you. So when the confirmations come, receive them with humility. When the door opens, walk through it with clean hands. When the peace settles, protect it. When the opportunity appears, pray before you answer. When clarity returns, obey without drama. Do not use the signs to boast. Use them to bow. Use them to remember that I carried you when you had no evidence except my word. Use them to remember that the same God who sustained you in the crushing is now guiding you in the rising. And if this message bears witness in your spirit, share it with someone who survived a crushing season and still wonders if they were disqualified by it. Send it to the one who cried quietly, kept showing up, kept believing, and still does not understand why the pressure was so severe. Let them know they were not rejected. Let them know they were not forgotten. Let them know the fire did not cancel them. It prepared them. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. The season has shifted, the movement has begun, and the greatest sign will not simply be the door opening in front of you. It will be the peace within you as you walk through it. Let heaven record it. You are not who you were when the trial began. You are not the wounded version begging for proof that I still saw you. You are not the frightened version trying to hold together what I was already separating. You are not the abandoned version, the rejected version, the confused version, the version that thought survival was all you would ever know. I have brought you through. I have kept you when pressure should have crushed you. I have covered you when the fire rose higher than your strength. I have restored places in you that pain tried to claim permanently. Now hear me clearly. You are chosen. You are refined. You are restored. You are protected. You are ready. What once would have overwhelmed, you will now reveal the strength I have built inside you. What once would have made you panic will now meet your peace. What once would have controlled your emotions will now bow to your discernment. What once would have pulled you backward will now become evidence of how far I have carried you. The trial did not disqualify you. The trial revealed that you could be trusted with more. So do not go back. Do not return to the old name. Do not return to the old fear. Do not return to shrinking, chasing, doubting, explaining, proving, begging, or rehearsing what I have already healed. Do not wear shame from a season I used to produce wisdom. Do not call yourself broken when I call you refined. Do not call yourself behind when I call you prepared. Do not call yourself rejected when I call you chosen. What I say over you is stronger than what happened to you. And now I speak this blessing over your life. Father, thank you for preserving this child through the trial that nearly broke them. Thank you for holding them in nights no one else saw, in battles no one else understood, in silence that felt heavy, in waiting that felt endless, in pressure that felt unbearable. Thank you for healing what pain touched. Thank you for restoring what the enemy tried to steal. Thank you for turning tears into testimony, wounds into wisdom, delay into preparation, and fire into refinement. Give them clean hands for the open door. Give them a steady heart for the blessing. Give them humility for the increase. Give them discernment for every relationship, every invitation, every opportunity, and every assignment in this next season. Repeat this now with faith in your spirit. I am not disqualified by what I survived. I am qualified by what God brought me through. Say it again until your heart believes it. I am not disqualified by what I survived. I am qualified by what God brought me through. Let that declaration silence the accusation. Let it break agreement with shame. Let it stand as a witness over your next step. And if you need prayer, leave your prayer request in the comments. Do not carry this next season silently. Let this become a place where agreement rises for your healing, your restoration, your clarity, and your next door. Subscribe for more messages of restoration, because your spirit must be fed with truth as you walk forward. Like this, as a seal of agreement, not as a routine gesture, but as a declaration that you receive what heaven has spoken. And share this with someone whose pain needs to be reframed, someone who still thinks the fire meant failure, someone who needs to know they were not abandoned in the crushing. Let heaven record it. The trial is not your shame, it is your testimony. The fire is not your ending, it is the place where readiness was revealed. You are qualified, you are ready, and you are not going back.